After receiving aid from Queen Helen, Hector rushes to the Seal Shrine. The secret road that follow is known only to the royal family. They pass burned soldiers unnoticed and unhindered. They approach the castle. Dot dot dot. Ding dong. Cog o' Destiny. I've been waiting, and now last time to bring you down is here. Things let none escape. Lord Lloyd, the enemy draws near. Though they finally hear, our opponents are strong. If anyone is afraid to die, leave now. The Reed brothers' fangs must not fear dying. We are with you. Lord Lloyd, do us the honor of leading us until the end. I shall. In the name of the Fang, we will stop them, though it costs our very lives. Go. Can't see it. I can see at the Shrine of Seals. This is strange. I've made it so far without seeing a single soul. I pray that is no longer the case. What? They're out for blood. Who could they be? You're Lord Elwood of Valsferre, correct? And if I am, we are the Fang. We serve the White Wolf Lloyd. You will atone for your sins with blood. What? The Black Fang. They're all fangs. They're alive. Wait. What? What is it? Their battle lust is not normal. Get too close and they'll tear you apart. Why? Why do we have to fight? We could talk to them and they'll see. They're no longer fangs. No, we serve Nurgle. We were never fangs. To them, we were never companions, never. No, that's not true. That man mentioned Lloyd. Lloyd must be here. I need to talk to him. Lloyd will understand. I won't give up so easily. Unfortunately for you, Nino, you are no longer of it. I am no longer interested in you. For I chose not to level you up at all. Alright, let's get going. Get all of our inventory bullshit, and we're on to the actual game itself. This is a pretty straightforward level. As I've probably said 100 times before, this is pretty straightforward. Basically, we want to go at a diagonal from where we're currently standing to go fight the brother that killed the other brother. This is a great place for getting lots of experience to level your guys up. Farina being a great example of this. We'll get her up closer to level. You can really just, depending on what level you're at, this can either be a cakewalk or a complete nightmare. And I say that because, particularly in the harder modes, I can imagine this being a very difficult mission because all of the enemies are coming your direction, and you're having to use either the bridges or something to block them off. Particularly if your characters you want them to double in a lot of cases, but when they start doubling enemies and they start killing them in one round, where they have, say, 30 health, and you do 15 damage twice, well, now you've opened yourself up for another attack. Whereas if you do less than that, obviously you survive, but it gives you an opportunity to at least counter with a heal or move them out of the way. So we're doubling. When you're being aggressive, doubling is like the best thing in the world, because you have like a line of enemies that you just are coming towards you, and as you're doubling them, you're punching one enemy out, and you're moving another character into their spot, punching the following enemy out, and moving up. And when you do that, it's like the greatest thing. But when you start having to play defense because of how hard some of these characters start to hit, classed up, not classed up, doesn't really matter. You could really see where some of the best things you can do in the game are to have the following advantages. And if you listen to Fire Emblem people talk, this is all they care about. Great base stats. Okay, I think we can all agree. You come in with great base stats, you're ahead of the game. Okay. 2, great level ups. That's usually okay as long as that's usually like number 2 after base stats. If you have really great base stats, but you don't have that great of growth, they don't seem to care as much as if you have mediocre starting stats and having great growth rate. You know, like a 50% growth rate. Don't care. They do not care about that. And it sort of drives me up a wall because I like to train my guys. I like to sort of stick with a crew of guys I'm going to use. And I'm not a big fan of using, you know, your promoted, they call the Jigen. Because early in the game, he steals a lot of your experience. At the end of the game, he's not really any worth much because he's not as strong as, say, someone who you took time to invest in. And then occasionally you run into that 4 out of 4 stars, 5 out of 5 star character who is a character that starts with great stats, has decent level ups, and you get them promoted mid-game. You know, so you're not playing this game where, well, I didn't have to dump any experience in them. They already come to me great. Pent is a great example of that. He comes preloaded. He's great. The only my problem with Pent is I feel like you get him a little too late for where he's at. If you got him, say, right after the mission where you're in the desert, I think that would be an appropriate place to get him. Maybe he'd be a little overpowered at that point compared to some of your other units. But I think that around there would be about the right point. Having to wait up until you get to, until you get to roughly when you're talking with the Queen of Burn, that point in the game, it seems a little late, just a little bit late. It's not a super big deal because you can easily make it up in all of the levels since then. So I don't have too much problems with that, other than that would be his one downside, in my opinion. He's got great level ups. Well, he's got decent level ups. He starts out great. He's already pre-promoted to a stage. You didn't have to invest any time or effort in a character like Urk or Nino, you know, so you're not dumping any experience into them. They already come ready to go out of the box. Great. But getting back to my point, these are the things that a lot of Fire Emblem players are looking for. They're looking for great base stats. A secondary would be great level ups, or maybe secondary, maybe I should say, is mobility. Mobility seems to be a huge thing, and I get it. If you've got a guy who has 5 movement or 6 movement, okay, and you've got a character that's got 7 or 8 movement, you just walk out of their range. They walk up to you, they hit you with a staff, you go 6 spaces back. Now they can't hit you with, with the lance. They can't hit you with the lance anymore. Or if they have a spear, they can't hit you with the spear. If you back up 1 more extra space, then they can go. I get the advantages of that. I understand that the game balances that around the fact that they give not only you, but they also give the enemies weapons that are specifically good against against horses, or against flyers, or against wyverns, or general, armored units, And I get that. That's why they're in there, and you gotta sort of pay attention to where they're at, who has them, where are they on the board, as well as, is anyone wielding any killer stuff, killer axes, killer lances, or is anyone wielding any heroes items like hero lances or hero swords that are guaranteed to double, if not quadruple, your guy. I get it. I very much get where, you know, particularly doing a horse build in, say, Fire Emblem, or Fire Emblem, in Hector's Heart is like ideal because you're running into similar guys, I imagine, that you were in this mode, and then on top of that, you know, you're able to outmaneuver them. You're basically pushing your guys up to the front, having them fight, then retreating them back. You know, those are 2 turns, mind you. It's not you go up to the front, punch them in the face, then you retreat. I think in general, because I feel like, having not played Hector's Heart mode, I feel like you would get bogged down a little bit in some of these battles, and that's where some of the movement would be negated. So a character like Oswin would be much more useful because he's not falling behind, you know, your other units that are sprinting forward and are always 1 or 2 or, you know, 5 steps ahead of Oswin, who's constantly struggling to keep up with them because he's got 1 less movement than the other, you know, infantry units. And he has what, 2 less than a Cavalier and 3 less than a Paladin. And, you know, I understand that Oswin probably wouldn't have to worry too much if he's at comparable level. He probably wouldn't have to worry too much about here comes the Pegasus Knights, you know. But still, they'd probably double Oswin in most cases, because they're Falcon Knights in some cases, and their main gimmick is speed and skill. So of course they're going to double, but how much damage are they going to do with Oswin, say at 25 defense? I don't know. And if I remember correctly, having played Elowood's Heart mode, they replaced some of these. They replaced some of the units that are physical units with units that are magical units. And that's another thing that a lot of Fire Emblem players like to look at is, you know, base, again, we're going to go over the list again, base stats, movement, growth. And then after that is, can they hit from range 1 and range 2? And I get that's what makes mages so great, is that they can hit from, if you run up to them and try and poke them with a sword or a spear, they're going to hit you with magic. If you try to stay back with a bow and arrow or a javelin, they're going to hit you. If you run up against another mage, you can stand next to the mage, you can stand a space away from the mage. It's going to hit regardless. And I get that's their big upside. But the downside, which is the balancing part of most mages, is they don't get defense. So they're kind of squishy whenever, particularly if they're coming to you, particularly. If you have to walk into their range, obviously that's just, I get it, that's super dangerous because they're playing defense essentially. So unless you've got a Cavalier, they can get within their range without actually taking damage, or obviously Paladin, flying units, you can get in their range without being in their range, you know, basically bring them into your range without being in their range. That's why you use horse units, because they're super good at that. That's sort of supposed to be the balancing act of that, is the fact that mages can hit from 1 and 2, but the flying and horse units can outrange them. But, you know, the downside to that should be, you know, your flying units and your horse units should be a little bit more squishy than, say, and even your mages should be squishy, obviously. That's your point. That's the point. You're playing, we're talking Street Fighter here, you're playing, oh boy, I hope Legault doesn't die here. I believe he is in range as sniper. Oh, he's in range. He's in range of both of them. Great. Great. We'll see how this goes. Obviously, this level will help him. Skill, speed would have been nice. Luck's good, obviously, for reducing accuracy. Farina is, of course, a target as well here, but I don't think that if I were to choose, I don't think I would choose Farina on this choice. Anywho. So yeah, I mean, that's where the balance is. If you have a character like an archer, they can hit at range and not take any damage, but their squishy portion is if you come up to them in a one space battle, you're going to deal damage to them, and they're not going to be able to do anything to you. And I get it. And then, you know, they like big damage, much damage you could possibly do. It just makes their boners really fucking hard. So if you take a character like a sword master, swords are weaker. They're not as strong. They could be somewhat heavy for the amount of damage they're willing to be. You know, for the amount of damage it lets you do. Okay, fine. We love axes. They're big and strong, but they're not as accurate. And I understand for some people that's the kicker. You know, they look at the axe and they go, "Oh my, look at all that damage I can do. Oh my gosh, my guy's getting so much strength. He's just going to destroy everything." And other people look at it and go, "Oh my god, the fucking axe doesn't have any accuracy. How the fuck am I supposed to hit anything?" And they ditch their axe users before they even use them. But again, you get sort of that's a little bit of the balance, you know. You get characters like berserkers that are designed to be high damage, low accuracy, and if you don't like that, then you end up dealing with the warrior class, which is lower damage but slightly higher accuracy. But yeah, they're usually affected by constitution penalty, which slows them down and gives them a chance of being doubled by other characters, particularly sword users. But again, I mean, what I'm speaking about, at least in my opinion, is all about the balance. You know, obviously there are characters, if you play other Fire Emblem games, there are some characters that are just completely worthless to you in terms of long-term use, training, etc. Even in this game, I think the assassin class is a bit of a waste. It does a great job of what it does, but Matthew doesn't take a good advantage of it. Legault, unless you get really lucky with his strength, he doesn't take good use of it. And then Jafar, obviously, he's designed to be plug and play. You can use him, you can not use him. He's designed for that class. He has the good base stats that I talked about, you know, and his level ups are okay. Whereas Legault has great base stats, his level ups are better than Jafar's, but you have to build him into that role where Jafar's already there. That's what I love about these Fire Emblem games, at least this game, is the balance of it. You know, you can build a character into something great. I mean, obviously there are certain characters that their archetype just does not fit. You know, their level ups do not fit their archetype. Like, again, warriors are supposed to be pretty strong. They're supposed to have lots of HP. All the warriors in this game have high HP. Okay, but Dorcas, he can't seem to get what is it, accuracy or something, skill, and Bartray sometimes he struggles with speed, depending on how your levels go. Now I think my Bartray did okay. I mean, I'd have to take a look, see where he's at right now, but I think he did a pretty good job in terms of his speed this time around. Now, I've seen people who just get absolutely mowed down by the fact that he does not get speed. It drives me up a wall sometimes. And sometimes you get unlucky. He has like a 40% or something chance of Yeah, he needs more. He needs more strength. I mean, it's not that he's bad. He's not. It's not that he's bad at what he does. It's just doesn't make him as good of an assassin without. Yeah, there's the strength. Yeah, and I think he can go up to 25 strength. So if you could preferably get lots more attack, that would be great. There is very squishy. That's one of her big downsides of running Astera is she's a really good healer, but she does not come out well on the other end of the the white magic. Hugh. Huh? Go. I saw nothing. I met with no one. Wait. Take the staff. Thank you for Prince Daffodil. Warp. I do. As much as you may not like him in Fire Emblem 6, he is loyal to a fault for his lord. He is I guess you could say he is like the general equivalent of like a Florina and Lynn, like loyal to a fault, and would basically throw his life away to protect his lord. I'm trying to think if there's another character like this in this game. Obviously, Pet and Louise would, because they're married, would be they're intertwined. So if one dies, you lose access to the other character. Obviously, the Pegasus sisters, they, whatever, in whatever capacity they do, they obviously care for each other. But you don't. If Florina dies, you don't lose access to the other two. If you lose Prince Zeph, I think if Zephadel dies, I think Murdoch, while he wouldn't probably lose all of his purpose, he would lose a lot of it because. The fact that he could not protect his own, his lord, who basically took him out of being a low-born nothing and turned him into essentially his right-hand man. No. I don't know. I have to really focus down. I'm running out of levels here to finish, or to get these guys up to 20. So I'm going to really have to start focusing down on, trying to get these guys up at least close to... The ideal would be about 15. 16 would probably be my ideal right now. Because if they're at 16 going into the last level, then I could comfortably get them to 20. Or rather, they could comfortably hold their own without being at 20. They're at 10. They start to become a bit of a liability. Particularly the lords become a big liability. Because unlike in some other games where you might have like a best friend character, per se, like, I'm trying to think of her name now. Like Lillian from 6, Hector's daughter. I think even though she is, you could consider, she's obviously one of Roy's love interests, but like good friend, want to protect sort of thing. She's not required. They don't force you to use her at the end of the game. They don't, but they force you to use Lynn. They force you to use Ellawood. Now, you don't have to have either one of them classed up. You can if you ran them up to whatever level 10, at least 10 to get them to class up. Ideally 20. But you're getting where I'm coming at when I say this. There's a lot to, you know, you have to sort of factor in that they're going to be there, and towards the end of the game, you might run into characters that have bolting, or there's a light magic equivalent of it too. Black magic version, surprisingly, is actually the worst of the three, because it only does 50% damage. Now, 50% damage is, you know, you got a guy with 60 health. I mean, 30 damage. You can't blink at, 30 damage. But most cases, you're not going to have to worry about that with a long-range spell. Hell, it probably wouldn't even hit, because Canis and Athos would be the only ones to be able to adequately wield it, and I think it would just be a little too cumbersome for them to get any decent accuracy, I mean, in terms of its weight. Good job, Lynn, you did it. I did that by pressing the button too many times too quickly. You do that, that makes for a bad time. Alright, Farina, your job is to collect items, i.e. swords, lances. Alright, and let's grab some axes. I don't think I'm going to need more than 1 or 2 bows. And then we can think about getting silver items as well. Silver, silver, silver. Just a little silver game. Give and take. Give and take. Take and give. Give and take. Just checking over my inventory right now. I'm not using any mages, obviously, so that's not going to matter. I could use some fluxes. I could definitely use another lighting, and or shine. I could definitely sell all that garbage down too. Not going to use the ocean steel. Not going to use the the earth steel.